What if you fell into a black hole? Imagine you're out exploring space, searching for a new home for humanity. Suddenly you come across a black hole and think, why not check it out? This is What If? And today we're going to explore what would happen if you fell into a black hole. Despite being called a black hole, it's not an empty, dark void. In fact, a black hole is a highly concentrated mass packed into an incredibly small space. The theory of relativity, proposed by Einstein, explains how black holes are created. When a massive star runs out of fuel and dies, it leaves behind a dense core. If the core is at least 3 times the mass of our sun, gravity becomes so intense that it compresses the core into a black hole. The name black hole might make it sound like an empty spot, but it's far from it. Imagine the sun with gravity 28 times stronger than Earth's. If you could somehow walk on the sun, you'd feel 28 times heavier than on Earth. Now imagine squeezing 4 suns into a space just 15 miles, 24 kilometers wide, the distance you'd drive in about 30 minutes. That's the size of a black hole's core. At the center of a black hole, gravity is so strong that even light can't escape. This is why black holes remain invisible to us, but we can detect them through the gamma ray bursts they emit. Stephen Hawking, one of the greatest minds in physics, believed black holes might act as gateways to other universes. So, if you fell into one, could you end up in a different dimension? Every black hole has an event horizon, the point where its gravitational pull becomes so strong that nothing can escape. If you were outside the event horizon, you'd see stars twisted into a swirling ring of darkness. As you fall toward the black hole, you'd accelerate faster and faster due to the gravity. Here's the first major problem. Black holes exert an extreme gravitational force. If you fell in feet first, your legs would be pulled with more force than your head, stretching your body apart in a process known as spaghettification. Most black holes are stellar-sized, about 9 miles, 15 kilometers in diameter, and can weigh as much as 20 suns. If you were to fall into one of these, you'd be torn apart before you even reach the event horizon. However, if you chose a supermassive black hole, millions of times the mass of our sun, you'd be a little safer. In this case, the gravitational forces on your head and feet would be nearly equal, so your body wouldn't be ripped apart immediately as you cross the event horizon. The good news? There's a supermassive black hole right at the center of our Milky Way galaxy, but it's 165 quadrillion miles, or 265 quadrillion kilometers away, so it won't pose a threat to Earth. But crossing the event horizon is only the beginning. At the heart of the black hole lies a gravitational singularity, where density becomes infinite. Here you'd be crushed into an infinitely small point, merging with the black hole itself. Unfortunately, no one will ever hear your story. If someone were watching from outside, they'd see you slowing down and growing dimmer as you approach the event horizon, eventually fading into a red blur. Time would seem to freeze for you as you neared the horizon, while space itself would continue moving forward. It's impossible to turn back or escape, just like how we can't travel back in time. Even if the black hole eventually evaporated, releasing all the particles it absorbed, including you, it would be impossible to tell if those particles were ever part of you. Stephen Hawking proposed a fascinating idea to explain this. He suggested that when you fall into a black hole, information about your body might not be lost. Perhaps there are alternate universes with different histories. In one reality, you fall into a black hole. In another, maybe you never even encountered one. Are you captivated by the mysteries of the universe? Get ready. From the outside, you can never know for sure whether there's a black hole ahead until you've fallen in. If you do, well, you're gone. But in a universe where the black hole doesn't exist, maybe you'd survive, but you'd be in an entirely different dimension. The only catch? You'd never be able to return to our reality. Would you dare to explore a black hole and risk the unknown? Because your next adventure is just around the corner.